Hello, my name is Jason, JROCK Houstion. You guys are listening to an interview being done for Chaotic Riffs Magazine. We can be found on the web at www.chaoticriffs.com. It's my great pleasure to be speaking with guitar legend Jack Frost from a band Seven Witches. How you doing tonight, Jack?
How you doing, man? Thanks for the kind words. Legend, I don't think, but thank you very much.
Well, I think you've earned that title. You know, you've been doing this for quite a number of years. So quite a few people know who you are. So I think it's quite a deserving title there. Now, of course, we're talking today because your band Seven Witches is getting ready to release a new studio album called Ways of the Wicked, which I believe comes out on September 18th. So why don't we start off talking a little bit about the new album, like how many tracks are on there, and what can people expect from the new album compared to previous releases?
Okay, well, basically there's 9 tracks on the album. It comes also with four videos, 2 from this record, 2 from the previous record, Rebirth.
Oh, cool.
It's a definitely fresh approach for us. We kind of like, it's kind of weird, dude. We didn't really I didn't sit down and say, I'm going to write the same record.
Yeah.
I just really, for the first time in my life, first time I wrote from my heart.
Yeah.
And I didn't okay, this song's got to be like the last record, this one's got to be more metal. I think I basically just really went back and focused on where I came from. Growing up on Thin Lizzy and loving 80s bands like Badlands and Tesla. I think this new record's a different approach. It's a little bit more rock, but still very heavy, but a lot more melodic, a lot more hook, and it's got a very, very, very 70s feel.
Yeah, because I was watching the video for the first single called Better Days, and I was trying to think. It kind of sounded like classic 80s metal. It's almost had kind of an Iron Maiden influence to it. Were those guys at all influences on you?
Dude, I'm 47 years old and I grew up on Maiden and Priest. How could Maiden and Priest not be influence? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Those guys were iconic, man. All those bands. That was the weird thing about this record. It's got not like Defenders of the Fate Priest.
Yeah.
This record is. I would say more of Sandwings of Destiny kind of very rock approach and Maiden come on man, the first few records with Paul Di'Anno, that was a big influence for me growing up. I don't no disrespect to Bruce Dickinson is Maiden, but those old records like Killers and stuff.
Yeah.
I just love the rawness of that stuff. I've got to be honest with you.
That's great. Now, of course, you've been the one constant in Seven Witches, and is it ever hard for you, like you're saying, you went in to record this album, and you kind of just went in there and see how wrote what you wrote, and that's how it came out. Is it ever hard for for your influence not to come out so heavily since you're the main guy in the band?
I am the main guy in the band, but I do ask everybody for this feel, and I kind of what's weird, dude? A lot of people ask this thing, kind of a question, how did you approach, how did you do this, what made you do this? This is a weird record for me because I kind of just stripped it down and went for it, and sometimes you'll second guess yourself, and I really kind of kept coming up with these riffs, and I go, I really like this, and I just kept going back to the drawing board. I'm like, nah, this isn't good enough, and that's not good enough. So it's hard when you make the main songwriter, but I also think about what my singer would think of this and how Johnny would play it and what would Rodney do on bass. That's a big difference now. I really think about the other guys a lot more, and not just it's just got to be the whole time,
Yeah, and so like you said, you got a couple new guys in the band, I see, and so going forward, is this kind of a band that you're hoping will stay together for a while?
Well, dude, this is the first time in Seven Witches history that it's the same drummer, same bass player, and same vocalist for 2 albums in a row.
Well, yeah, you have to get started. Yeah. And so, as far as songwriting, collaborating with other guys in the band, like we're saying, you're the principal songwriter, but is it hard for you to to allow the other guys to come in and contribute to the songwriting?
Not at all, dude. It's open policy.
Yeah, that's
cool.
Come
on, bring it all. I'll send a riff to my drummer and to my bass player. Hey, why don't we change this around? Why don't we try this beat? And I'll send them demos of, drum machines, and then Johnny will go, hey, how about this? Oh my God, it changes the whole in the studio. Their input is so important to me. And as of Anthony, he comes in the studio with a bass idea, and then me and him will just hammer it out for hours. And sometimes we'll come in, dude, without even a bass idea, we'll write it in the studio, which is so Led Zeppelin,
Well, that's cool. So typically, being that the band is kind of based around your guitar playing, I'm taking that most of the songs start out as riffs, and then the singer comes in later and kind of writes his lyrics based off of your riffs.
Yeah, he'll hear the riff and go, I got, and Anthony's an amazing lyricist.
Wow.
He's amazing. He has books like songs. The guy is great. And we're in the studio. He wants to strangle me because we got to cut some of these. He has so many words. It's like Neil Peart. You know, it's like he's just amazing. He doesn't say about, hey, I met this chick and we went out to the bar. He's got a big focus, and I love that, man. He's great. I'm very, very lucky to have someone with that so much to give,
And how did you find your singer Anthony? Like you said, this is second album he's played on, but sounds like he's pretty much brings a lot to the picture, which I think is great. For Seven Witches, kind of finally get a set lineup.
I probably know Anthony for 15 years.
Wow.
He's a local guy from upstate New York, and I know him. But we've been friends and we always joke around, and a lot of the previous Witches singers, oh my God, they're all amazing singers.
Yeah.
But they all kind of come from that Halford-ish, Bruce Dickinson-ish school. Anthony's more of a throaty John Corabi from Peru.
Oh, cool.
And more Jeff Keith from Tesla. And the band wasn't about that at the time. And when I really felt that the record was going to be more bluesy, I auditioned 3 or 4 guys, and Anthony just killed it, man. He just crushed.
Now, as far as Anthony singing kind of some of the older material, does he kind of bring his own influence in that, or how do you think he covers the older, material?
You know what, dude? I always told him this. You're not James Rivera. You're not Alan Tecchio.
Yeah.
You're you. You're Anthony Cross. I want you to sing it how you feel it. It's almost like, and dude, please don't take this the wrong way, because there's no means that we're in this league ever. But when Paul Rogers joined Queen,
Yeah.
you're not gonna replace, Freddie Mercury. My God, you're not gonna replace.
Yeah.
That is that's an angel from above. But also Paul Rogers is an angel from above. But he approached the songs his way, and I thought that was awesome.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing we do with Anthony.
Yeah, and I think that's a good example that you make with the Queen, because for a simple fact, Paul Rogers is not Freddie Mercury, and he's got a big enough fan base of his own. But the thing, when they went out with Paul Rogers, it just shows you that those are such great songs, those Queen songs, that any decent singer can get up and do those songs just because they're just such greatly written songs.
Oh yeah.
And so I think if you get a decent singer, that's I almost kind of compare what you're doing right now with Seven Witches to kind of Metal Church. Metal Church recently got back with their original singer Mike Howe, but for quite a number of years they had this other guy, Ronnie Monroe, and he kind of went there and put his own stamp on Metal.
Ronnie is one ass-kick singer, man. I love that dude.
Yeah. And I actually interviewed him when Metal Church put out their last album for Ronnie, and I was telling Ronnie, the great thing about this latest Metal Church album is, you've been in Metal Church long enough, Ronnie, that you've kind of really, put your own stamp on, and you're just as much a part of Metal Church as Kurt Vanderhoof is,
Of course, definitely. Ronnie's been there for a while, on and off,
Yeah. And now I think it's cool. You're telling me that in the packaging of a new CD that we're going to get a couple new videos, like a DVD of some of these videos to go along with the CD. I love when bands package it like that, because you're giving your fans a little something extra. If you're gonna pay $15-$16 for a CD, I like that you're getting a little bonus with it.
Thank you, dude, because we got our balls broke from the label about this. No one cares about that stuff. I care about it. When I was a kid, I wanted to see what the band looked like, what they acted like, and blah, blah, blah. And you're the fifth person that said the same thing. That makes me so happy.
And let me...
I pushed for it. I said, please, take it out of my budget. Don't care.
And let me ask you, on that note, because, you know, preparation for this interview, Jack, I got on your Facebook page, and I was reading some of the stuff posted, and I'm just amazed, you know, in posting the video for Better Days, at what a huge response you got. So what did the record label have to say about that?
Yeah, they're kind of like, well, Shipster is awesome. Shipster said to me, dude, you did the right thing. Because he's like, dude, nice. And I don't know if you know this, I'm gonna go tour now in October with Circle to Circle.
Oh, cool.
The guitar player Phil can't do the tour, and like 2 days ago, Zach Stevens called me and he asked me to do it. So this is like crazy right now with the Witches record coming out, Circle to Circle record comes out in October, and I'm gonna go tour Brazil with them.
And now let me ask you, how did, because I was reading a little something about that on Facebook, you know, again, just before I was getting ready to talk to you here, and I just kind of wondered, how did that come about, that opportunity? Was it through your past connection with Savatage?
Yeah, well, you know what, I never got to be in a band with Zach, because it was, Zach wasn't singing when I was the guitar player. And I saw Zach this past January. It's really weird how life happens, dude.
Yeah.
It's just weird how things happen. He was at NAMM. I was at NAMM. I was playing the same metal show he was, Metal NAMM Jam. And we got up and did a song together, and we were joking around doing Jesus Saves. People freaked. And we said, hey, man, maybe someday we'll get together. And Zach said, you know what, brother? You never know. We stayed in touch, and he said, like, as soon as he needed a guitar player, I was the first person he reached out to. And Christian, the other guitar player, is such a cool dude. I'm like stoked, man. I'm like stoked. We're going to have the best time in the world. And
so, of course, Seven Witches is your main project, but is there any chance that down the line you might be able to do both? Or is this just for a couple dates?
You know what, dude? That's Bill's gig, and I don't take anybody's gig.
Oh, yeah, of course not. Yeah.
Do shows, and they need me to fill in, I'll do it anytime. I mean, I love those guys, no problem.
Okay, and then and as far as just for those select dates, I was curious, have you been practicing, like learning the material, or do you already know a lot of the Circle material?
You know what, dude? This was like something they mentioned to me a while ago, so I've been learning a lot of it. A bunch of songs. I'll be good. I got to learn about another 10 songs. And we're doing some old Savatage songs that I played already. So,
wow.
Yeah, it's taking some work. It's a lot of work, but the stuff's amazing. And like, Phil and Christian are just amazing guitar players, so I got to get my head around it, but I'm full on focus, so I'm ready to go.
And I'm pretty sure, you know, with Seven Witches being your main project, you get a lot of your rocks off, you know, with Seven Witches. But I was kind of curious, you know, a lot of guitar players like you, even when they have, you know, a band like Seven Witches, go off, you know, in their downtime and might put out like an instrumental solo. Have you ever had any desire to do that, or?
You know what? I did 2 solo records, and there was all singers on it, and I did 3 instructional DVDs, like on guitar playing and rhythms and stuff.
Oh, okay.
I'll never do like a real like solo record.
Yeah.
I actually am doing another solo record. The label asked me to do it, so I'm working on that now.
Wow.
But it's going to be with all singers again.
Well, I kind of like that because, you know, to me, like when you put, there's a certain group of guitar players can get away putting on instrumental music, but to me, I've always been a type of guy that I prefer, you know, music myself. I guess you're probably the same way, you know, but have vocals. I mean, if you're Steve Vai or Joe Satriani, you can get away with that because, you know, that's kind of what they do. But I'd much rather personally...
Eric Johnson and Steve Vai, that's those guys, man. I'm more like, you know, Gabby Capone for that. I'm more like John Side, still showing. I like to be with a singer.
Yeah.
He play better.
Yeah, that's cool. And so I'm like, as far as this new album coming out, I was curious, how long did it take you to write the songs and record, but, you know, from the time you guys went in the studio to record it?
I'm going to be honest, man. This record probably took me a good year to write. I didn't write these songs. I've got about 50 songs and I went through them. I really took my time. It only took us about a month and a half to record everything and mix.
Wow. And so, you know, kind of going back in time, you know, when you were growing up and first learning the guitar, I was curious, how old were you when you first started playing, and did you take lessons, or would you consider yourself to be a self-taught player?
I actually really got serious when I was 13. My dad's cousin side of the family, his niece, his sister, my niece, husband was looked like Jimmy Page, and he taught me a lot when I was growing up.
Wow.
I gave in Western. He taught me so much stuff, and then I went to lessons, and I was the biggest Kansas freak. I loved Terry Livegren, so that was big influences on me. Yeah, I took a lot of lessons back in the day.
Oh, wow.
And I wish I did more now, because I look back and I think I teach a lot now, and I realize what I could have been. Yeah, and I'm probably, being honest with you, working harder now and getting better than I ever have.
Oh, well, yeah, of course. The longer you stick with something, the better you get it. Now, as far as teaching, how do you go about getting your students? You typically, you just give private lessons, or do you do it through the internet? What's the...
No, I actually am a music director at one of the school Rockford here in New Jersey.
Oh, okay. Cool.
So it's cool. I'm like Jack Black, but no.
Wow, well, that's cool. And so, how often, when you get when you teach some of these students, are a lot of the students aware of who you are? Do they kind of, through teaching them, you kind of say, hey, this is what I do, give us a listen? What's that process usually like?
It's pretty funny when first we come in, they don't know who I am. They're just they get lessons, and then they start YouTube, and they're like, oh my God, you're that guy?
Yeah, you done all this?
I'm just not like that, dude. I've been I am so good friends with my students. They're all cool.
Yeah.
I've got students from 6 years old to 65.
And typically,
I love it. It's so much fun, dude.
I guess it kind of varies from student to student, but typically, what's the process of how you teach them? I mean, do they come in and tell you, okay, this is the style of music I want to learn, or I want to learn these songs, or do you kind of teach them?
I used to hate teaching songs, but we have shows too, we do a Sept show, a Savatage show.
Oh, cool.
So I'll teach them a Savatage song, but then I teach them the chords and the details behind it, which is really cool. That was the thing my teachers never did to me.
Yeah.
They teach me a song, and I hated that. Okay, if I'm playing an E or a D, what does it mean? And that's what I try to do.
Yeah. Oh wow, that's cool. And so, again, when you were just starting out, I was curious, who were some of the guitar players that really, influenced you to pick up the guitar and do what you're doing today?
Definitely Richie Blackmore.
Wow.
Definitely Terry Livegren from Kansas.
Oh, okay.
I mean, Gary Moore.
Wow.
Tony Iommi. Dude, Michael Schenker. God, Michael Schenker. And then later on in life, it was guys like John Sykes. My God, I love John Sykes. I love John. And one of my favorite guitar players of all time, Neil Schoen.
Wow. Well, Richie, you and me, like I said, I'm a huge Richie Blackmore fan, so I got to ask you, of course, Deep Purple legend, but what do you think of the stuff he's doing these days, the neoclassical stuff with Blackmore's Night? Have you heard any of that?
Yeah, I have all the CDs. I think it's great, man.
Yeah.
I just got to be honest with you. I just think one last time I'd love to see him go out there and just tear it up. It'd be great to see, Death Alley Driver just one more time. Yeah.
I mean, I've been hearing read these rumors lately on the internet that he's talking about next year, kind of going back and I don't know what type of show, putting some type of band together with some rock guys and playing some Rainbow and Deep Purple stuff.
Shows. Yeah, it's really small, maybe a couple days.
Yeah.
I'd be right there to see that, And then later on, dude, I think guys like Doug Aldridge.
Oh, cool.
A friend of mine.
Yeah.
I think he's a great player, and guys like Doug Aldridge and Richie Constant. They're the new guys that I think have really influenced a lot of the younger kids,
Yeah, and it's amazing, when you bring up a guy like, you bring up Doug Aldridge and John Sykes, two guys that both went through the ranks of, Whitesnake. It's kind of a shame that John's kind of disappeared from his scene in the last several, years, but, Doug, he's worked with everybody from Ronnie Dio to, he's touring with Glenn Hughes these days, I heard, and, it's just amazing.
Dude, I've been an Aldridge fan for 20 years.
Yeah.
I got all those Lion records, all those Bad Moon Rising records.
Wow.
He always laughs. I go, dude, I love it. He just laughs. Dude, you really like that stuff, huh? I love those records. And, if you ask me a question what would be the band that I could dream to be in if I had one band?
Yeah.
I would love to be in Whitesnake.
Oh, yeah.
That would be my dream gig.
It's kind of interesting you say that because again we were talking about earlier. Your own band Seven Witches is Whitesnake gone through. I don't know if it's been quite as many, but several lineup changes. And Coverdale, like you, has been the one constant, in Whitesnake. But he always, he's smart too, but he surrounds himself with very very talented musicians that are equally as talented as he is.
Oh yeah.
And so it's kind of an interesting parallel, because if you look at the history of Seven Witches and Whitesnake, while the two bands sound very little alike, you kind of both got that in common. Well,
yeah, but you're talking.
Yeah.
You're talking Whitesnake and Seven Witches. I get it. But wow.
Yeah.
That's John Lord. I didn't have John Lord in my band.
Yeah. Well, and then Richie Kotzen, I love what he's doing these days with the Winery Dogs, but that's a cat that's been doing it for over 20 years, and then he's with Mr. Big.
You came to my house.
Yeah.
Your fan. I had every Kotzen solo record ever.
Yeah. And it's just amazing, like that's the thing when he was with Poison, he was kind of forced to become a sideman, but if you listen to that one album he did with Poison, that was Richie.
Native Tongue is all Kotzen.
Yeah. That's what I was getting ready to say. But he had to kind of.
You're just like me. We can hang out. That's cool in your life.
Yeah.
Dude, you hear Richie's voice all over that record?
Yeah.
It's crazy. I've seen that tour.
Yeah.
That wasn't Poison.
Yeah.
That was a Richie Kotzen show.
Yeah, and I think that's the main reason they threw him out of the band. I mean, there may have been other things going on, but I think the main reason was because he may have been too much competition for Mr. Michaels. Because the thing is, as great of a guitar player as Richie might be, I think he's an even better singer. It's kind of amazing because he's another guy that started out like putting out these shred type guitar albums on Shrapnel, and now look at what he's doing today. I mean, he sounds nothing like that these days. I mean, the Winery Dogs, but I'm so excited that he's finally getting this kind of attention, because it's just great to see.
He deserves it, man.
Yeah.
He deserves it. And dude, you know what? He's one of the nicest guys in the world. He's such. I live in Hillsborough. This is in my town. And I know Richie like we're not like buddy.
Yeah.
But we know each other just from It's a very tight knit. We all know each other, and when you actually when Doug read a couple of articles that I said how much I liked him, and we became friends. That he invited me down to a couple of Whitesnake rehearsals, and he always puts me on the list. And it's just weird how nice people become, when you get to know people.
And that's, so let me ask you, Jack, because you're a guy that's been at this quite a number of years yourself now, and so I'm sure over the years you've got offers to join other bands. I was kind of curious, is that true? And if so, what's kept you from joining like a more established band? I think it's a great thing to stick with your own band instead of when you get a big time money offer to join like a major band.
You know what, dude? I got offered a few bands, but I was playing with Belladonna, and he went back to Anthrax. I was playing with David Reese from Bangor Choir and Sept, and now he's joined Bonfire. I mean, I get these gigs, and I come in, and then the guys all go back to their other bands. But, a couple of the bands that I didn't join, there was just like a thing. Like, I have a family, I have kids, and they wanted me to move out 3,000 miles away from my son. It's my baby. I just can't do that. But now my son's 10 years old, and you know what, dude? If a band like Nickelback called me tomorrow and they need a guitar player, I'd be all over that.
Wow.
I'd love to be in it. Dude, if I could play every day and live out of a suitcase, I'd be into it, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know, I was in Lizzie Borden, and I loved being in that band, and what happened was, they were on the West Coast and I'm on the East Coast. It was impossible to rehearse,
Wow. And so, once the album comes out, I mean, you got a couple of these dates in Brazil that you're going to be doing with Circle, but you guys planning to do any kind of major touring this year behind the new album? Or are you going to wait?
We are definitely looking into it. We did a couple of warm-up shows with Armored Saint and Saxon on the East Coast.
Wow.
So we did that already, but we're definitely going to tour. We just have to, we have to see how the record does. Then we're going to talk to an agent and see who we can go out with. We definitely want to tour. For sure, 100%.
And so,
my drummer's in Danzig, and my bass player's at Bonfire, which after school, we're all going out at the same time, and we'll all be home at the same time.
So now, with that being said, I got to ask: is there any chance that you might like if other guys aren't available, you might have to get some other guys for the live shows?
You know what, dude? I did that a couple times, and I got to be honest with you, we can't do it again. I love the guys I play with, and this may sound kind of dicky, but if I can't go out with the 4 guys that I made this record, I don't know if I really want to do it.
Well, I think that's kind of smart on your part, because again, like we said, you know, history of Seven Witches, you know, you have a lot of people come in and out. I think it's cool, like you're saying, that the last 2 releases you've had the same lineup, so you know you're starting to build a momentum, and I think hopefully when the new album hits that, I mean, look at just how much of a response you got from a video you guys posted for Better Days. So I'm hoping that, you know, people are going to dig the album and really you know, make it a big seller for you guys.
Me too, man. We just want to tour. We love to play live, dude.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
the best deal. We're just, you know, I just think we're a better live band than we are on a record. We're fun, we smile, and we like to be there. That's the thing about us. We don't look like, we're not looking at our watch. We're 20 minutes work, we're done.
Yeah.
We're like, oh, it's almost over?
Wow.
Yeah, so.
And so now, of course, Seven Witches is your bread and butter, you know, your main project, as we were saying, but and you currently, you said we're working on a new solo album, but I was curious, once the solo album drops, is there any chance that you might do any touring behind that, or again, will most of
I would love to go out with my 3 solo records and put a band together and go out and have some fun and play some of these songs. Because we have 3 records out. That would be so much fun.
Yeah.
I would love to get a guy like Nader Dupree from London to be the front man for the door.
Wow.
I love that guy. Like someone like that's just so iconic and so out there, you know?
Yeah. Oh, wow. That would be a great. Well, you know, I wish you all the luck with that. But and the last thing I kind of want to ask you, like, you know, being that you're working on a solo album, you got this new album with Seven Witches coming out. Like, when you write a song, I mean, a lot of it being that you're the principal songwriter, probably sounds alike. But how do you know, like, if something is for a Jack Frost solo album versus for Seven Witches, or does it just kind of depend what you're working on at the time?
You know what? My solo records are very more commercial.
Okay.
They're very much more like in the foreign or like that kind of range. So I know when I'm writing, it's going to be more of an 80s vibe. The Witches is more like metal to 70s, you know?
Wow.
So I just, you know, I get my head in that space.
Yeah.
And again, I don't really like think about it. I'll write a bunch of songs and I'll say, nah, that's not for Witches. That's more me, you know, more rock.
Yeah.
More my solo record. It just happens, you know?
And again, like, because you're a principal songwriter, a lot of there's gonna be similarities. But like, do you feel the ability more of it, like when you're doing a solo album, that you have more of an ability to kind of go outside the box and kind of, you know, I want to try, you know, I want to experiment, I want to do this, you know, outside of Seven Witches.
Yeah, it's like you can do more like, you know, ballet.
Yeah.
Maybe I could do like, you know, maybe I could do like a Dokken-ish kind of song. So I had Terry from XYZ sing a bunch of songs on my last one.
Wow.
And Terry, man, he's great. And we did a song called Out in the Cold. Man, it's awesome. I swear it could have been on Back for the Attack. Yeah,
well, I got to ask, you know, being that you just brought up Terry's name, what do you think of what he's done with Great White?
It's amazing, dude.
Yeah.
You know what, Jack? I love the early Great White records. Jack Russell's awesome. Dude, I give my right arm to do like the tour and play guitar with Jack Russell. I would love to play with Jack Russell. But Terry has his own vibe, and he's doing great. I think it's great, and good for them, man, keeping it going.
Yeah, I mean, I got to tell you, I've had the opportunity to talk with Jack a couple times, and I can say from my experience dealing with him, he's just always been the nicest, coolest, down-to-earth guy. So that's what I can say.
If you ever talk to him, if you ever talk to him again, he never needs a guitar player, tell him you know a guy, give him my number.
I will do that. So, well, I just want to thank you for taking time to do this today, Jack. It's been great talking to you. Maybe we can, you know, do it again once the album hits and we talk more specifically about the album. But I encourage.
You have my number now?
Yeah.
Dude, anytime, bro. I love this kind of conversations. Anytime, seriously. Just give me a buzz, whatever you want to do, anytime.
I will do that. So, just to wrap up, the interview will probably be going up in a week or two. I'll be sure to let Chip know once it gets posted. And you're at that point welcome to do anything, post on all your sites, whatever you want to do with it to promote the band, because that's what this is all about.
Sounds awesome, man. Thank you so much for your time, and have a great weekend, bro. And what can I say? Thank you so much for your time.
Well, yeah, I appreciate you. So you have a nice weekend, and I'll be in touch. Thanks so much, Jack.
All right, be good, brother. Nice
Bye-bye.
talking to you, man.